URC power rankings for week number 7, folks. I'll admit I'm still playing a bit of catch up with the URC. I've not been seeing as many games as I should have with family stuff going on, but we crack on with the power rankings. I did miss the week 6 power rankings, but we are back in action, so I've done the numbers. We'll rank them from bottom to top, and I do think, man, there's a few surprises here, but part of it, please keep in mind, part of it is not supposed to reflect the table. The table is the table. Those are points in the bank. The power rankings are supposed to reflect more current form. So wins in round 1 are worth a heck of a lot less now in round 7. If that makes sense to you. Hopefully it makes sense. A good example would be these boys. I haven't updated their logo. Zebra. They are not last on the actual table, but they are last in the power rankings. Why? They've got 2 wins. Those are points in the bank. Those wins were in round 1 and round 2. Every match since then has been a loss, including the most recent one against Benetton. That's why they are below teams who they otherwise might be above, and they literally are above on the table. They are like 13th on the table. So the power rankings are saying current form for Zebra in the URC, not great. Ospreys is not a lot better. They are last on the table. They're down a heck of a lot of spots since the last time I did the power rankings. Their last win was October. They've had a draw since then, and it's all been losses. So, yeah, Ospreys and Zebra are kind of good company at the moment in terms of their URC form, and the off-the-field news with the Ospreys losing a couple of players, you know, in terms of Jack Morgan and Dewey Lake signing contracts to go to the Prem. Again, not great. I'm wearing Dragons gear, though. Why? Because the Dragons got a win in the URC. A heck of a win against Connacht. They put almost 50 points on Connacht. Well done, Dragons. Wins are kind of hard to come by for you guys. It's your only win of the season, but it breaks a hell of a long drought for the Dragons. They've got 1 win, 4 losses, and 2 draws. So they have avoided defeat on 3 occasions this URC season, but that is their first win in a very, very long time. I think they had a win, was it the Challenge Cup as well? But in terms of URC, that breaks a long drought. So well done to the Dragons. And then last, it's the other Italian team, Benetton. They did get a win in this most recent round. It was over Zebra. And remember, the way I do the power rankings is you get less credit for beating low-ranked teams. So I didn't boost them up a heck of a lot for a home win against Zebra, because I also factor in home and away. But hey, it did break a 3-loss losing run for them, so they are at least in that regard kind of on the right track in the power rankings. That is your bottom row. Second from the bottom row, 12th spot goes to Connacht, who were on the wrong end of that Dragons win. Their recent form is not great as well. I mean, I think it's 4 of their last 5 URC matches have been losses. I don't know. Again, I haven't been following enough URC. If Connacht are injury-riddled, do let me know, but their overall record is 2 wins and 4 losses this URC season, which a lot of teams are on. So there's not much between a lot of the positions in terms of the rankings of the sides, but Connacht recent form is not great, and neither is these guys. How is Jake White seeing things? I'm kind of drawing parallels. I know it's very different situations, very different coaches, but All Blacks fans were like, man, once Razor gets on board, everything's going to be peachy. And I assume a few Bulls fans were pretty happy about Ackerman taking over, although Jake White had a heck of a pedigree, but a lot of people were giving him grief. I think less so now, because they at least made finals with Jake White, but they don't look like a team which is making any finals at the moment. They are on a 3-match losing run in the URC. They lost Sharks Fest. They lost at home to the Lions as well, and they lost to Glasgow away. There's no shame in that one, but yeah, a couple of results they certainly would have liked to do better. They had the Sharks scrum under the pump in their game at the weekend, which I was able to watch. But yeah, they couldn't hang on for a lead. Didn't score any tries. Edinburgh are in 10th. Edinburgh are continuing to be that kind of hot and cold team. Their recent run is a win over Benetton, a loss to Cardiff, a win over the Ospreys, and a loss to Glasgow. Again, a loss to Glasgow at the moment. Toulouse lost to Glasgow away, so I know it wasn't at Scotstoun Stadium in the 1872 Cup, but yeah, it's hot and cold for Edinburgh. They'll get a chance to right some wrongs in their next game. And then the Sharks. Coaching changes maybe gonna help. I don't know. Often when we see coaching changes, teams get an initial boost, but whether they can kind of maintain that remains to be seen. So the Sharks, they got a win in Sharks Fest. Good on them. The crowd was there behind them. Now you may be wondering, where the heck are the Scarlets? Because they are nigh on the bottom team on the actual table. Somehow in the power rankings, it has spat them out as high as 8. It doesn't seem to make sense. I know, the Scarlets, what have they done for anybody? Well, their record of 2 wins and 4 losses is very similar to a lot of other teams. Who else is on 2 and 4? Connacht's on 2 and 4. Edinburgh's on 2 and 4. Like the Lions are on 3 and 4. Edinburgh, I already mentioned them. The Sharks are on 2 and 4 plus a draw. There's a lot of teams kind of there or thereabouts. The Bulls have got more wins than them. The Bulls are on 3 and 4. The difference being, and this is how it kind of makes sense in power rankings, don't shoot me, but the Scarlets' most 2 recent games are both wins. They've put their losing run behind them and are in good form, whereas the Bulls have put their good run behind them and are in bad form. That's the theory anyway. You guys let me know. It feels a bit high to have the 15th ranked team in like 8th in the power rankings, trust me, but like I said, there's very little between the teams on the log anyway, and their 2 recent wins, they beat Glasgow and they beat Cardiff, who teams on the log are higher than them. Obviously higher than them because they were terrible, but higher than a lot of teams. Glasgow and Cardiff have both got good records this year, so they're up a heck of a lot of spots. More than I would like to see them jump, but it's been two weeks I missed, so I think they're up like 8 spots or something crazy. 4 and then 4. Yeah, so here we go. The Lions are next. The Lions are in 7th. They do have that 3-win, 4-loss record. Their 3-match winning run is over. So like I said, their record's the same as the Bulls in terms of wins and losses, but again, differing recent form, although they did lose to the Stormers. Everybody loses to the Stormers so far, so no shame in that for the Lions boys. They are up in the power rankings. They don't get talked about that much in the South African media from what I've seen. They seem to be the forgotten franchise. I don't mean forgotten. You know what I mean. They don't get the same headlines as some of the other ones. It's kind of like the Highlanders here in New Zealand, maybe. 6th, I've got Ulster. Ulster did lose to Leinster away. Again, kind of a similar one. There's no real shame in that. They certainly gave Leinster a good go. Their record is also kind of 50-50 over the last 4. But as I said, I didn't punish them a heck of a lot for losing to Leinster. But their overall record is 4 and 2. So 4 wins, 2 losses. So it's still a very positive record for Ulster. They are looking a heck of a lot better than last year. And then Cardiff. Speaking of teams looking better than last year, Cardiff's record is also pretty good. 5 and 2. 5 and 2 for the Cardiff lads. They are down in the power rankings though because their winning run has been broken at home with the loss to the Scarlets. So 5 and 2 is still a very good record. They are 3rd on the actual table. Power rankings have got them lower due to that recent loss. Top 4, we have the Glasgow Warriors here in 4th. Coming off the back of that, as I said, famous European victory over Toulouse. They managed to get their 1872 Cup initial leg done with a victory. And apart from that Scarlets loss, their recent form has been pretty good. I think they've won 4 out of their last 5. So good form for the Glasgow boys. Leinster, who make headlines a lot, they've got very high expectations on them, Leinster. If you win by 50, the opposition was terrible. If you win by 5, why didn't you win by 50? If you lost, goodness me, how did you lose with that squad? They can't really win, but they do have a lot of good players. So it's kind of a mixed bag for Leinster. Their recent wins, they've got 3 in a row now, are over Zebra Dragons and Ulster. Ulster gave them a pretty good game. And like the Dragons and Zebra are kind of 2 teams down the bottom of the table. So it's not like earth-shattering stuff that Leinster beat those sides. But they are up in the power rankings, and I've got them higher in the rankings than they are on the log, as I said, because 3 wins in a row. Not everyone can boast that kind of record. Munster are above them. Munster are in 2nd. They're above them on the table as well because they are 2nd on the table. 6 and 1 record. Clayton McMillan is having some good URC success. And the only team they've lost to is the Stormers, who you may note are the only team not on the board yet. Stormers First spot, they are 7 from 7 in the URC. Latest win over the Lions. And if I'm not mistaken, ominously for the rest of the competition, I don't think they have to leave South Africa until like May in terms of the URC. I think they've still got like Harlequins away in Europe, but yeah, Stormers have done a lot of their away games already in terms of URC traveling up to Europe. So a lot of games in South Africa for the Stormers, guys. So there you go. Those are the power rankings. As I said, the teams which are on similar records or similar points on the actual table is the teams who've got the more recent wins who are above the other ones. That's what I like about the power rankings. As we get into the kind of meat of the season, we start to see the form of the teams changing. But you guys let us know your thoughts. How do you reckon the teams are lining up? Take care, folks. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It's the last power rankings before Christmas. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.